You already know what to do. That's the uncomfortable part, isn't it? You've read the books, watched the videos, made the plans. You know sleep matters. You know movement matters. You know that what you eat and how you think and who you spend time with, all of it matters. You know, and yet something keeps not clicking. The gap between knowing and actually living differently stays stubbornly, maddeningly wide. So you go looking for the thing you must be missing. Some secret framework, some elite morning routine, some productivity system used by billionaires that will finally make it all fall into place. Here's what nobody wants to hear. There is no secret. What actually changes lives is almost insultingly simple. It's quiet. It's repetitive. It looks nothing like the transformation montages you see online. The habits that compound into completely different lives are by almost every measure boring. That word boring is doing a lot of damage because boring gets dismissed. Boring gets skipped in favor of something shinier. And while you're out chasing the dramatic, the people quietly doing the unglamorous work are building lives that look from the outside like overnight success. These are 14 of those habits. Let's get into them. But before we do, if you're the kind of person who's done waiting for the right moment to change, drop "I'm ready" in the comments. Let's see who's actually here for this. Before we get to the habits themselves, we need to talk about why you haven't already done this. Because it's not laziness and it's not a character flaw. It's something much more predictable than that. Your brain is wired to seek novelty, genuinely, neurologically wired for it. When you discover a new idea, a new diet, a new journaling system, a new fitness challenge, your brain releases dopamine. Not when you do the thing, when you discover it. The planning feels productive. The research feels like progress. And then the actual repetitive, boring execution arrives and your brain goes quiet. The reward signal fades and you move on to the next exciting idea, wondering why nothing ever sticks. This is the planning trap, and almost everyone falls into it. You've probably felt it yourself. That electric feeling of starting something new. The first 2 or 3 days where everything feels possible, and then the slow deflation as the novelty wears off and the real work shows up. Most people interpret that deflation as a sign that the habit wasn't right for them. It wasn't. It's just your brain returning to baseline. That's normal. That's what discipline actually feels like from the inside. There's also the scale problem. We dramatically overestimate what big actions do and dramatically underestimate what small ones compound into. James Clear put numbers to this idea in a way that's hard to shake. Improve by just 1% every day for a year, and you end up 37 times better than where you started. Let that land. 37 times from 1%. Meanwhile, the person trying to overhaul everything at once, new diet, new workout, new sleep schedule, new mindset, all starting Monday, burns out by Wednesday and ends up further behind than when they started because now there's guilt layered on top of inaction. And then there's identity. This one is subtle, but it runs deep. Most people try to change their behavior without ever changing how they see themselves. They say, "I'm trying to be a reader," instead of "I am a reader." They say, "I'm attempting to exercise more," instead of "I'm someone who moves their body every day." That gap between trying to be and being is where most habits quietly die. The action without the identity behind it always feels like performance, and performance is exhausting to maintain. So you've got a brain that rewards novelty over consistency, a culture that glorifies dramatic transformation over slow accumulation, and an identity that hasn't caught up to the behavior you're trying to build. No wonder it hasn't clicked yet, but here's where it turns. Because once you understand the actual mechanism of change, once you stop waiting for motivation and start building systems, once you stop swinging for the fences and start showing up for the singles, everything becomes simpler, not easy, simpler. And simple done consistently is the most powerful force in any human life. These 14 habits are simple. Some of them will make you roll your eyes. That's exactly the point. Let's start building. Every lasting structure needs a foundation, and your daily life is no different. The first 5 habits aren't the most glamorous, but they are the ones everything else is built on. Skip them and the rest wobbles. Nail them and you'll notice your whole day shifts in ways that feel almost unfair. Habit 1. Wake up at the same time every day. Not just on weekdays, every day. This single habit stabilizes your circadian rhythm, improves your sleep quality, sharpens your focus, and regulates your mood, all before you've done anything else. It requires no equipment, no special knowledge, and no money. It just requires that you stop negotiating with your alarm. The people who say they're not morning people are often people who have never given their body a consistent enough schedule to find its rhythm. Give it 3 weeks of the same wake time and you'll barely recognize how you feel. Habit 2. Make your bed. Yes, really. This one takes 90 seconds and it's not about tidiness, it's about momentum. Admiral William McRaven put it best in his famous commencement address. Completing that first small task of the day gives you a sense of accomplishment that carries forward. It tells your brain at the very start of the day, we finish what we start. That signal compounds. Habit 3. Drink water before coffee. Your body wakes up dehydrated every single morning. That low-grade dehydration affects your cognitive function, your energy levels, and your mood. And most people immediately pour coffee on top of it, which dehydrates them further. 1 large glass of water before anything else is a 2-minute habit that meaningfully changes how your brain functions for the first 2 hours of the day. Habit 4. Move your body within the first hour of waking. This doesn't mean a full workout, though if that's accessible to you, even better. It means 10 minutes of walking, stretching, or any deliberate movement that signals to your body that today is a day of action, not stillness. Morning movement increases cortisol at the right time early in the day when it's actually useful, boosts your mood through endorphin release, and creates a physical anchor that your body begins to associate with go mode. Habit 5. Write 3 things you want to accomplish today. Just 3. Not a 30-item to-do list, not a color-coded productivity matrix. 3 things. The limitation is the point. When you force yourself to identify the 3 things that would make today a success, you engage with your priorities in a way that a sprawling list never allows. You're not managing tasks anymore. You're making decisions about what actually matters. These 5 habits share something crucial. They are all about how you begin. The way you start a day creates a psychological template that your brain follows often without you even noticing. A chaotic morning creates a scattered day. A grounded morning creates a grounded day. Motivation is what gets you started once. Habit is what keeps you going when motivation has long since gone home. Once the foundation is in place, something interesting happens. You start to have margin, a little more mental space, a little more energy at the end of the day. These next 5 habits live in that margin. Habit 6. Read for 2 minutes a day. Not scroll, not skim. Read a book, a long-form article, something that requires sustained attention. 20 minutes a day is roughly 15 to 20 books a year. Habit 7. Put your phone in another room during meals. This is about presence. When you eat with your phone, you are absent from your life. Meals were always meant to be pauses, not content consumption windows. Habit 8. Learn something small every day. A 10-minute deep dive, a podcast episode outside your field, a new concept. The goal is staying in growth mode instead of passive consumption mode. Habit 9. Send 1 meaningful message a day. A real message, appreciation, gratitude, attention. Relationships degrade in silence, not conflict. This habit reverses that. Habit 10. Spend 10 minutes outside every day. Natural light regulates mood, sleep, anxiety, and stress. 10 minutes is a minimum standard with massive returns. These habits are not about doing more. They are about being more present in what you already do. The foundation stabilized you. The growth habits expand you. Now the final layer, mastery. Habit 11, do a weekly review every week. Look back at what actually happened, what worked, what didn't, where your time went. This builds self-awareness through data, not guessing. Habit 12, practice single tasking. One task, one block of attention, one focus, no fragmentation. Your output quality rises immediately when your attention stops splitting. Habit 13, reflect for 5 minutes before bed. What went well today? What would I do differently? This trains awareness, emotional processing, and long-term improvement. Habit 14, do one hard thing every day on purpose. Not extreme, just something slightly uncomfortable. This builds your tolerance for difficulty and changes your relationship with effort. And here's the through line of all 14 habits. None of them are complicated. None of them require resources you don't have. They require consistency when no one is watching. Extraordinary lives are not built in extraordinary moments. They're built in the accumulated weight of ordinary days repeated long enough. We are what we repeatedly do. Not occasionally, not ideally, repeatedly. You don't need a new system. You need repetition. Start today.